Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Mike Reviews It All. This is actually the third episode of the podcast version, the long version. Lucky to have my guest Ryan the Savage to my right, Garth of the Cosmos to my left. I gave him those nicknames. Really want to thank them for coming down on this warm day. There's a car show going on outside. So you guys are going to hear some noise, from some roadsters and some different cars and stuff out there. I apologize for that. Unless you enjoy it, then enjoy it. Our subject today is just we're going to talk about things that used to be that we don't use anymore, kind of jobs that aren't there anymore, and where are we going forward as a society, I guess. Garth knows a lot about things that used to be. Garth has one of the largest 8-track
Probably
collections.
After tomorrow, my collection will be over 5,000 8-track tapes, and plus I have portable players, and I have stereos and things associated with 8-tracks like cassette adapters, and there's a thing called the 2XL robot, which is made just for kids to play 8-tracks. So
How many 8-tracks do you have altogether?
it's going to be over 5,000 right now. So I've been collecting for a while, since the 1970s.
Wow, that's a lot. Obviously, the music industry's changed a lot, but a lot of people are still interested in physical music. Me and Ryan probably grew up more listening to CDs. Do you have a big CD collection growing up, Ryan?
I had a fair amount, but not too many. I was
about-
listening to the radio and so it was
What
current.
about MP3?
Sort of, kind of, didn't really. I was a big fan of Napster back when it was, the thing, and then they got shut down. Everybody started charging it. There was that whole big kerfuffle, and now it's just an unchecked wilderness of who cares anymore.
Yeah, and then now vinyl's coming back.
Vinyl never really went away. It's always been like a club, kind of a scene thing.
Yeah, but now some stores are actually selling new record players.
My kids just bought 2 new record players. My daughter's we got her an old vintage big record player. She's huge into records. Her friends are into it right now, actually. She's got a pretty good sized record collection. So yeah, it is coming back.
Yeah, and there's catalogs of what's the most valuable vinyl album. Like the Butcher album from the Beatles, or some of the Elvis Sun records and stuff like that. But there is no catalog for 8-tracks. There's only one website out there called 8-Track Heaven, where you can go and you can see the collectible 8-tracks. And there are 8-tracks out there worth $5,000. That's Frank Sinatra and Antonio Carlos Jobim duet. Also $1,000 for Yardbirds Live featuring Jimmy Page. Because when Jimmy Page was going to Led Zeppelin, the Yardbirds hurry up and put out a quick album, and then Jimmy Page got his lawyer. And they were only on the stands for 24 hours, and so that's why they're so collectible. So if you want to know, go to 8-Track Heaven. You can see the Hall of Fame.
Also, go to the link down there. I forgot to mention, I'm going to have a link from Garth from Seattle. Also to my Facebook and Twitter. Ryan the Savage here, I'm just going to put his physical address on there. Please just send checks straight to his house.
I would appreciate.
How would you like that address, Ryan?
Just the cash.
Just cash in an envelope. So put it in a card so it looks like it's a birthday card or something.
That would be
well,
nice. I do have a birthday coming up, so.
Hey, there you go. Everybody needs to chip in and get Ryan the Savage a birthday present. Yeah, and the music world, it's hard to think of an example where more jobs have been affected, and the artists, like looking on Spotify, I know a few, not real famous artists, local artists. They're called The Moon is Flat. Look them up. My friend Kurt Rutherford. But Spotify pays the artist for streaming. You have to stream their song 12 times for them to make 1 penny. So nobody's really making money on Spotify except for the ones that are going into the algorithms and finding out where people are downloading them, and then they're going to concerts. So if you want to support artists, you want to support your local artists, please go to concerts. Spotify just recently added and I don't know if Apple Music has this, but it shows tours in your area, something a little more that I think will help the artists out, because that's definitely a they haven't rebounded from the impact of the internet at all, and there's a lot of starving
You
artists
guys have
out
like
there.
favorite local bands you encourage people to go see?
Murder City Devils is a Seattle-based punk band, and the owner's wife owns an antique store in Capitol Hill, and in the off chance you're straight in there, you can sometimes find him behind the register selling really Victorian dolls. And
Oh, cool.
then you can go in your car and listen to him screaming, bloody murder, and it's an odd contrast to see if you ever get a chance to enjoy that.
Yeah, what about you?
I think that's just called being diversified. I know just a couple local artists. Like I said, the Moon is Flat. Kirk Rutherford, he's the lead singer and a guitarist. He's been working at this for a long time. You can find him on Spotify and Apple Music. He also just cut a new album. I can't think of the name of it, but if you just Google The Moon is Flat or Kirk Rutherford, I'll try to find a link and I'll put it down below. So try to keep track of all these links so I remember to put them in there. But
See, I got a band, Pop Cycle is putting out a new CD. They're a local band, and I have a friend, Reggie LaFleur. He's a great guitarist, and sometimes he plays down at Triple Door, but he plays a lot of clubs around the area. So Reggie LaFleur and Pop Cycle, and I think there was one other one, the Night Crew. Night Crew plays at a lot of casinos, and one of their keyboard player was one of our limousine drivers for our last work. A lot of limo drivers are in bands, it turns out.
I think that's the big hope for musicians right now is live bands, and luckily the millennial crowd and whatever you want to call this generation coming up.
Stupid.
Hey, my kids are in that generation. Thank you very much.
understand.
But they're really into live concerts and stuff. I don't like to put people in groups.
Well, what's your favorite group? Name your favorite group if they put out an album you absolutely gotta have.
Well, if Motorhead put out another one, which made Lemmy came back to life, I'd certainly want that.
Yeah.
I would totally be zombie Lemmy just out there. I would be front row center for that.
He might have taken enough cocaine. He could just walk out of his grave at any
You
moment.
could probably just put a bottle of Jack in it, just a hand would just reach up out of the thing and be like, all right.
I don't think they ever thought that one person could do that many drugs and alcohol and really never slowed down for 69 years.
That is amazing. And he must have had some sort of special voodoo on that triad of warts he had on his face. Must have been some sort of gypsy magic thing keeping him alive. But this is a true story. Keith Richards, back in the day, used to regularly get his blood transfused in this clinic in Switzerland or Sweden somewhere. He would have his blood pumped out and fresh blood put into him because of all the drugs he was taking.
He was ahead of his time on that.
And so he was telling Lemmy about it, and so Lemmy decides, okay, I'm going to go try this out because God knows what I do. And the technician in the clinic said, no, we can't do this. Your blood is so everything that if we put fresh, new, good blood into you, it would kill you.
That makes sense.
So it's like
Dependency.
he has like xenomorph acidic blood, basically. Like if you like stabbed him, it would just start burning through the knife.
That's crazy. You know, Peter Thiel, I think he's the CEO of PayPal right now, has regular blood transfusions. He pays an 18-year-old some ungodly amount, like $300,000 a year to eat healthy, not drink, not do drugs, and he gets regular blood transfusions. You can look it up, but I want to say it's about every 2 or 3 months. He thinks he's going to live forever. He takes over 100 pills a day. The guy is intense about longevity.
I learned about this the other week when I was watching Silicon Valley, and they had that exact thing happen. The big tech genius. I don't know if anybody's seen Silicon Valley in this room, but I'm sure the internet is aware of it.
I haven't.
Great show about the tech industry in Silicon Valley. It's extremely active. It's done by Mike Judd, so it's well researched and it's pointedly funny. And sure enough, this CEO billionaire, he's in a meeting, all of a sudden this Nazi-looking dude, very Aryan, beefed up, healthy looking, comes rolling in with like the blood transfusion. Like, oh hey, it's time. I was like, what is this? Is this a real thing? And now just saying, I was like, this is a real thing that people actually do. I was surprised.
Dude, if I had the money and it's gonna make me live an extra 20 years, take my blood, put the needle in right now.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on time.
Okay, so
I would just totally be all for like the island where you have that clone of you off somewhere else where you
Yeah,
never meet, and then
that
one
was a
day when you
strange
meet, a
movie.
thing.
That's a great movie.
Okay, that's but just bookmark this conversation when we start talking about UFOs and faster light travel. Okay, as far as
I don't know.
living longer.
I think we're closer to the cloning thing than faster light travel.
But yeah, let's try to get back on track a little bit. We've talked about some things that aren't around any longer. We're moving towards an area of a lot of jobs that used to be there just aren't there anymore. And we're kind of at this point like, what in the world are we going to do? I'm just going to throw a quick stat out there. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the unemployment rate number because that's complete garbage. But I do pay attention to the labor participation rate. And right now it's at 62.7%. So how you calculate the labor force participation rate is you divide the number of people actively participating in the labor force by the total number of people eligible to participate in the labor force. This is taking out all people on disability, all people that aren't of age that should be working. So by this number, 37.3% of people that are the age and able to work are not working. 37.3%. So we already have a huge amount of people doing God knows what, but they're not in the labor force, and that's just going to continue. I'm sure you guys can both think of a lot of jobs that we don't have anymore.
Thug life.
Well, the mafia, that's just the Bloods and Crips now. The Republicans and Democrats, that's the... Ryan, what do you remember growing up? Or jobs that we don't have around anymore?
Haberdasher, lamplighter, dog catcher.
That's true. I haven't seen a dog catcher in a while.
No, now they're called animal control.
Okay.
Goodness, what is
Ice cutting.
Yeah.
When we used to have ice boxes.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then
that
ice
was
man
before
delivery,
me.
which goes also to milkman.
Yeah.
Milkman's pretty much disappeared.
I remember a lot more beverages came in glass bottles. Like everything came in a glass bottle, and then like in the early to mid 90s, everything started switching to plastic.
I wish they would go back to the glass.
I do too.
Screw plastic.
Yeah, and it was recyclable, because you just take the bottles back and you get money for it. And that's how kids got actually some, money for candy and
Well,
stuff.
that and it tasted better. It retained
Oh,
the
yeah.
temperature better.
Yeah.
And there's been no long-term study of the side effects or effects of plastic on the human body done whatsoever.
I think we're going to start seeing that. I think we're
And
going to start seeing some
Why
side
don't
effects.
you see beer in a plastic bottle?
You do on some, but it's
I
like
have
for
at
like
stadiums.
yeah, because they don't want anybody getting rowdy and drunk and then being
They throw in their bottle.
it'll just go tank and then fall down.
Oh, man, what does that say about?
If you pay $12 for a bottle of beer, though, should you have the right to hit some rowdy guy upside the head? I don't know. That's a lot of money.
Well, you're just putting weapons in the hands of drunk people in a volatile, competitive scenario, right?
So then we can film it again as a separate sporting event and pay it and sell it on pay-per-view.
Let's just put everybody in their arena.
We're creating jobs. Make America great again. Come on.
I do know that in bullfights down in Manzanillo, they don't serve beverages in like cans or containers. They give you a plastic baggie and a straw.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Because they'll get so rambunctious and uppity, it'll be like, okay, well, you can tear a can in half, and all of a sudden you got a little shut.
Yeah, you got a shit.
You're a ghetto Wolverine, basically,
Yeah.
Okay, so this is why beer comes in glass bottles, essentially, right? Because it tastes better.
Tastes better. It holds longer, I think.
Yeah.
And also, I think ferments partially in the bottle too when they're storing it. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a brewmaster.
I don't know, but I know one thing. A lot of people, if you're allergic to beer and you always get a headache afterwards, if you drink canned beer is actually processed with ether. So if you're allergic to ether and you don't know it, and you always get a headache when you drink canned beer. That's why, because it's canned with ether.
Very helpful fact.
I try not to drink canned beer anymore, and I think I have less headaches.
Okay, so switchboard operators.
That's one.
That's another job that just went away.
The traffic cop that would stop, go,
Yeah.
stop. You'll find them rarely, like when
There's a
car outage.
construction site,
But other than that, it's no.
Yeah,
that's gone.
It's gone. Town crier.
Well, that's become social media.
It's true, it's true, yeah. Let's see, there's a thing called knocker-ups, which was basically a human would come to your door and wake you up to go to work. Because apparently it was, maybe there wasn't alarm clocks back in the day.
Well, it was like for those like factory row house towns where like everybody, you lived in the community, you worked at the factory, and there'd just be a guy going, down the whole thing, going, get up, Thompson, get up, McGillicuddy, get up, Stewart,
I think I got that mixed up. They told me that I was supposed to be a knocker up, and I got to like 6 women and I got fired.
Well, then he comes back down the block when, the husbands are all gone, and then he fills the other half of his duties, so.
See,
That's why all the kids up and down the road look just like the knocker-up guy.
which is why they had to get rid of it.
Well, he was gotten rid of. They just found him underneath a bridge somewhere.
Okay, here's one that's major, longshoremen.
Those still exist.
They do, but not to the degree that they used to,
Well,
because
not
of
near-
containers.
Not in the
shipping
amount,
containers.
that's true, but
It used to be a lot of guys, you had to be employed on the docks, you had to separate the stuff when it came out of the ship, stuff like that, warehouse it. But containerization after World War II pretty much got rid of the longshoremen.
well, yeah, they got rid of the big cargo nets, like pulling like giant, 50
Yeah.
different boxes out. I mean, but it's still thriving. The maritime industry is thriving.
Oh, it's
very
thriving,
healthy,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've got family in the maritime industry. I've been
Uh-huh.
in the maritime industry. I have a TWIC card.
Yeah, but that particular job,
It's true.
which was.
Like the old grizzly dude with like the Popeye arms and like
There you go,
yeah,
yeah.
the tattoos of all nautical stuff and missing teeth and yeah, that guy still exists. He's the old guy at the end of the bar who's going like, you all have it too easy now.
Yeah.
I was submarines twice, in Okinawa, and I was on the Tinian explosion ship, and
And maybe we do have it too easy, but
we've certainly gotten.
Oh.
If you compared life 100 years ago to now,
Oh, it's totally different.
it's way harder for sure.
I would be like in middle age and or like the last golden years. You two gentlemen would probably be fallen due to some cold or gout.
Yeah, be sitting in a warm place
Something
by the fire
something that
somewhere.
Tylenol could have cured could have killed all three of us 100 years ago.
Yeah, there would have been, the doctors, the healthcare industry is one of the reasons for a lot of longevity now.
True.
And,
Oh, definitely.
People living much longer than how they used to.
That's why there's
Definitely.
after every war, there's been all these advancements in technology because we beat a country. Then we're like, okay, what did you do? Oh, we learned a bunch of stuff. Oh, you did horrible things to learn it. We're still gonna use it anyway. So that's why during like the Korean and Vietnam War, there was more survivors than say in the World War II, World War I. But they were, they were crippled. They were dudes without legs that would have led to death. That's 20 years ago. Dudes with missing half their face, they're alive because they figured out, oh, plasma, we can separate blood, and we can give you this until we can get you to here.
And you got a lot of people from the Vietnam War that obviously have a lot of ill effects, brain trauma, all kinds of different
Agent
things.
Orange. Agent
Yeah,
Orange.
yeah, there was definitely a lot more going on chemically, I think, there during Vietnam than World War II.
Yep. We all the defoliants, and I actually I'm a descendant of an Agent Orange person, so I have some health things I have to worry about down the line. And actually, we'll be covered by the VA if they do spring up.
Really? So this goes like generation to generation?
It affects the genes, yeah.
Wow,
Wowzers.
that's incredible. You guys inventing this crap, you're bastards.
Unless you get it on our guys. If you get it on the other guys, that's fine.
Okay, so here's the next job, bowling pin setters. That's a job where technology comes in and then you're done.
That's true.
That guy's probably living a more meaningful life if he.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about suicide if my job is to just set pins up for some other guy to knock down.
It'd be an easy job though. Like
That is true.
Very little responsibility. You could just be back there, kicking back, having a cold, and then just like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Push,
you
push,
could
push,
drink
push,
beer.
push.
You could probably be a little high, and you
And
just
then
got to be
you're
able
ready
to
to go.
walk. Yeah,
Okay,
that is true.
phrenology. Phrenology is where you would go to somebody and then they would look at your head and feel the bumps and give you a diagnosis on what the heck's wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
Like an
This is-
acupuncturist.
No, it's no needles involved. What it is this is where the term, you gotta go get your head examined, comes from. Because they would just basically just check out, you know, the shape and the form of your head, and somehow read it, you know, like you're reading your palm or something like that, and tell your future, right? You know, that's
that was a great gimmick.
Oh yeah,
We should bring that back.
Oh, and then the old medicine shows where people show up. You know, I guess what we have now is infomercials. Okay, to replace that sort of thing. And remember the guy with
Ron Peel.
Yeah, he had the like Vegematic, the pocket fish.
Hair in a can.
Yeah. Oh, and then there was the guy with the cures they don't want you to know about. You know.
No, yeah.
Him. Yeah, I guess he's in jail now.
Oh yeah, the guy that wrote the natural remedies and stuff. I actually
don't want you to know about.
Yeah, I found his book for an 80 yard sale. I think it might have been in a free box. I paid a little attention
Well,
to
he
it.
obviously had problems with the government. He may not be in jail. I don't know, but he was definitely king of the infomercials for a while. When it comes to that stuff.
I'm really happy that we don't have to watch infomercials at 2 o'clock in the morning anymore, though. Especially when I became an adult and there wasn't many channels on. I would see something, you're tired, I'd get excited, I'm calling one. I never got anything good from those infomercials. But I either bought or was really close to buying a lot of stupid things.
I don't know. I remember watching Tony Robbins. Remember him? Yeah, and it was very motivational. He'd get you, you know, really excited. Not quite sure what, but excited.
Super motivated from a guy who never accomplished anything, except for writing some books.
Well, probably that's how he made his living.
Yeah, if anyone has a correction in there, go ahead and put it in the comments or put your ideas down there. It should really involve everyone.
His teeth are 1/3 of his body.
What a guy, what a fact.
Maybe that's why he's able to walk on the coals without getting burned.
That's quite possible.
So the next one, and this is a pet peeve of mine. This is a job that I think should still be going, but it's not. And it's called cartoon show hosts on television. Now, everybody who knows J.P. Patches, Gertrude, I mean, they've got a statue to these two cartoon show hosts. You know, their influence, they were iconic, you know, of 60s, 70s, whatnot, and they were lovable, and they would show wholesome cartoons, but they would also sell, you know, sugary cereals and stuff like that. And essentially, that's what happened was they were not allowed to do commercials promoting things, and then when that disappeared, that's where the money disappeared. Then eventually the cartoon show hosts disappeared because stations just couldn't afford to keep paying, you know, a couple of guys to come out and just run the cartoon show when there was, you know, wasn't enough commercial value there.
Kind of like YouTube demonetizing all of our videos, and I haven't told these guys for some reason our last video's been demonetized. I don't think there was a lot of views on it, and it's good for the subscribers, or a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of money generated yet, but for some reason YouTube decided to demonetize us. I've challenged it, and it is now in limbo. So
we shall see.
So that's why you need to send us checks, because YouTube's cutting off our funds. No.
And if we get more monies, we can get a better set and a little visual creature and guests that you might actually know about.
There we go. Okay, so there's an idea. Production guys. We need money for production guys. You know, the more you pay, the better the quality of the video. And in the meantime, we'll be, you know, giving you the meat and potatoes of infinitely interesting conversation. Oh, which, by the way, who's your favorite cartoon talk show host?
Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, that's right, Pee Wee Herman.
Oh yeah.
And see, I was going to lend my theory towards your diminishing return of TV children's cartoon show hosts is the twofold kind of thing. If when I'm yielded the floor, anyway.
What about yours?
I was gonna say Pee Wee Herman actually stole it, so I guess
good.
Ramblin' Rod was pretty good. But yeah, Pee Wee Herman was a cool, and there wasn't a whole lot of them that I remember. But yeah, Pee Wee Herman's was definitely.
Because he did show old like 1920s,
definitely very
30s
entertaining.
cartoons.
What about Captain Kangaroo? Anybody remember him?
That's like 70s.
Yeah, I've only seen reruns.
Oh my gosh, he was iconic. He was national. You know, there was also Howdy Doody.
I don't care for Freckled Puppet.
But there was Clarabelle the Clown. See, I'm old enough, I remember a lot of this stuff. There was Bozo, I think, out of Chicago. Okay. Now, everybody knows Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. Well, the inspiration for Krusty the Clown is Rusty Nails down in Portland. Now, I actually went to one of Rusty Nails' shows. He was sponsored by Alpenrose Dairy, and he's basically Krusty is Rusty, okay, and he's a great guy. He's Portland's version of J.P. Patches, and he was around forever. But Portland had a lot of cartoon shows. There was Dr. Zoom, who was the mad professor. There was Heck Harper, the singing cowboy. There was Mr. Duffy's Cartoon Circus. And then up here in Tacoma, there was Brakeman Bill. I don't know if anybody remembers Brakeman Bill. Plus we had Stan Borson.
And also Captain Puget.
Captain Puget, yeah.
Are you gonna elaborate a little more on something with Pee Wee Herman? I felt like we kinda cut you off there.
Well, it was just the talk, the TV show host being gone. I had a separate.
Well, Pee Wee was entertaining, but he was actually kind of a parody of the old cartoon show host.
Well, he was.
Because there was,
Well, the show was originally meant for adults, and
It
then
was.
it got the attention of some network executive somewhere. It's like, hey, if you can, curve this a little bit, just take some of the edges off here, we can make this a kids show and syndicate it, and we can give you money.
well, that's because the kids who grew up with cartoon show hosts were now older, and there was a market for it.
Yeah.
Easily market for it, but then of course he messed up.
I think he wanted out. Because there's many other ways he could have done it, and that's just a super easy way, like, you know what, I'm tired of playing a giant 10-year-old.
Yeah, and after that scandal, his first reappearance was in, I think, the movie Mystery Men.
He had a couple small things, but he was in Mystery Men, he was in Blow as well.
Was he? No, that was a straight drama, right?
Yeah, Blow was the story of there was a real-life Johnny Depp movie about the dude who smuggled all that coke.
Right.
If you did coke in the 70s and 80s, basically you got it from him in some way, somehow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
I
take
actually
some
never
notes
saw the
here.
movie, so I can't really
Create
say what it was.
scandal to become more popular. That's, so if you take anything out of this, here we go,
Well,
get
that's what they're doing now
demonetized again.
with
Yeah.
like the sex
Yeah.
tapes and all that. Every celebrity that's starting stuff like, oh no, my sex tape
Oh.
got out. What happened? And
Hulk
all of a
Hogan
sudden,
probably made way more money from Gawker than he ever did throwing guys around half naked.
Probably.
Okay, so here's another job that's gone by the way. There used to be a lot of handymen, fix-it stores,
The repairman.
repairmen.
You could call like, oh, my TV's out. I'll call the guy.
Yeah, well, see, now it's cheaper just to buy a new one than to go and have the old one
I know.
fixed.
I recently, a couple years ago, I bought a brand new 40-something inch Samsung flat screen LED TV. It was great. It worked for 1 year and 1 month, and then all of a sudden the picture went out on it. And I called, technical support, and they were like, okay, you're 1 month after your warranty, so we can't fix it for free. There's a company, blah, 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 in Tacoma or in Bellingham, and they're gonna charge you this much to fix it. And I was like, well, that's more than the price of the television when I bought it. And they're like,
Because
we know, it's just easier for you to get a new one. I was like, yeah, but I've grown attached to this one. I mean, I still have a DVD player that
They have no motive to help you.
I know. I still have a DVD player and a VCR I'm meaning to get fixed. I've searched and found a guy in Bellingham. I'm just waiting to save up the $200 to actually get a VCR fixed and explain that cost to myself.
I have a couple of VCRs, so maybe,
There's still.
unless you're really attached to that one,
I
give
paid
you one.
$200 for it back in '98 because it was a 6-head VHS VCR. It was like Super
Nice.
VHS, and it recorded very well.
Nice.
And I invested that much in it like 20 years ago.
That's one thing they stopped making here recently. They made the last VCR, so.
And they used to be, they stopped making them and they became the VCR DVD combo, and now they're just,
Oh, yeah.
they're gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and almost nobody buys, I don't buy DVDs, very rarely do I buy DVDs anymore. Buy them digitally off iTunes or,
I'll buy a DVD if
Something
it's,
else.
there's no Blu-ray option. Like if they're like, there's not enough money to, it's not worth it enough for us to make a Blu-ray. It's also not good enough quality to really transfer to Blu-ray. I'll get the DVD.
yeah,
Like a movie from like the 1950s where no matter what they do, they're just not gonna polish up,
oh, yeah.
better. It's like, okay, just the DVD's fine because it's also $5.
Yeah, exactly. I do have some Blu-rays.
How long do your DVD movies last before they start skipping and become unusable?
Depends on where. I've rebought several movies 3 times, and one I've rebought when they come out with a new version of it each time. So
Okay, so how long do the VHS last?
VHS lasts until they snap.
Okay, and that's a long time.
They just degrade after a while.
And then you can tape them. I had some where you put the Scotch tape
You
just
splice
perfectly on it,
Yeah.
and then there would be a little static for about 3 seconds, and it worked just great.
Okay, so this is why they had to get rid of VHS, because the movies would last for, you buy one movie, it lasts for incredible amount of time. Okay, where this is why CDs are the same thing. You get, songs on CDs, you play it for 5 years. Finally, it's unusable because you put it into a CD player that scratched it up, right?
You don't think DVDs were a great upgrade in picture and sound quality from the VHS?
Probably, yeah. And there's a lot of stuff you can do with a DVD that you can't do with VHS, But but the longevity, see, the more they turn it over, the cheaper and the more breakable, and
It's the planned obsolescence as well.
planned obsolescence. That's where I'm looking for, because that's what they do with cars.
Mhm.
Cars are designed to fail miserably. They need to make a car that basically is a standard model that you can work on. It's so easy to replace parts and so cheap that it's the last car you ever need to buy. Part somewhere is out, you just buy the part and whatnot. And then, but what happens is that puts all the mechanics out of business. Okay, except for just maybe one or two.
Unless they can get and install parts.
Yeah, and so essentially, we spend so much money on cars, and cars are so expensive, and whatnot. But if you had just like for poor people, a standard model car that essentially is easy to work on, you can work on it yourself, it does everything you need to do to get point A to point B. It's not fancy, there's not a whole lot of options on it and whatnot, but it gets you where you need to be safely. And just make that same car every year, okay?
That's what Ford did for
Add an advancement to it.
first 50 years of its career, basically.
Yeah, but what they realize is that these cars will last a long time, and so they need to make plan for obsolescence. And so format wars with music is the same way. 8-tracks have no longer, had come out in '66, and cassettes were already taking away the market in 1970.
8-tracks are a recurring theme, audience.
Yes, I'm very knowledgeable about 8-tracks. And I love 8-tracks because it was just a short window that they were actually there. That was mid-60s to mid-80s. And in the 80s, you could only get them through the record clubs.
You know what else had a short window? The AMC Pacer.
Well, that was just one car, it was just one model. And then it was,
One model.
Never
wasn't there
heard
some
of it.
sort of a design flaw in those? Or?
They were just
Oh, I think
really
it was
ugly
pickup.
cars. And you know what they played exclusively? 8-tracks.
Built-in 8-track.
The 1966 Ford Mustang was the car that you could first have 8-tracks in.
Oh.
And so I happen to have 2 original 8-tracks that came with the Ford '66 Mustang. Each one of those is worth $150 minimum. Because if you're going to restore that '66, you've got to have that original 8-track to go with it.
Mm.
So there's a lot of people who collect 8-tracks associated with cars, because Cadillac and Buick and Ford all had special.
They did have that.
Yeah, and I actually found, I'd never seen one before, but a friend of mine has it. It was a 8-track that came with the RV that you bought, an executive class RV.
Mm.
And it had background music, it had great production values, had a great narrative. He would tell you all about how your RV works. So anyway,
Interesting. So kind of like a podcast or a download now. So yeah, we're definitely, a lot of those jobs are gone. A lot of those things are gone.
I was gonna movie usher.
movie usher.
Nobody takes you to your seats with a little flashlight anymore and checks your ticket. It's just rip. There you go.
That's
Rip,
true.
there
And then
go.
you can sit in the back and record the film on your cell phone and
I bring out my
upload
sandwiches
it
I
to
got
Pirate
from somewhere
Bay.
else, and
Ah,
my little Camelback full of vodka and whatever I picked up.
Any of you ever record a movie in the theater?
I
Yeah,
haven't.
You did?
yeah.
Yeah, what about, so you have it? I actually recorded on a cassette tape Star Wars the first week it came out. And so I've actually got on the recording, like a trailer for Orca. The movie Orca.
You still have the recording?
Yeah, I still
Oh,
have it
wow.
recorded with the original audience responses and everything else.
Interesting.
That's a good movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
It had I want to say Lance Henriksen, but that's not right. It just sounds like a name like that. As the guy.
At any rate, your movie stuff has changed quite a bit. It used to be that the movie theater was very ritzy.
Yeah, you'd like dress up to go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
Now it's like sweatpants and sticky floors.
Now they just charge you a ritzy price. It's like $12 to watch an hour and a half movie.
And that's for a matinee.
Mostly CGI. Yeah, if you're in the Seattle area, yeah.
Oh, I got to tell you this story about a mall that closed down somewhere back east, and I was watching the video. A guy went in at night into this closed down mall, and when he got to the movie theater floor was green with mold.
Oh, wow.
It was like, so much mold had grown from all the gum and the candy and everything that had dropped there and whatnot. And it just sprung up a whole jungle of mold. It was eerie to look at.
We used to go to the drive-in, and I remember eventually it was in Mountain Free Water by Walla Walla. Eventually they started charging by the car. But when I first started going there, they started charging by the person. So I remember my aunt and uncle sneaking us into the back of their trunk, me and my sister, so we could get in there for free. I'm sure that's why they changed it. I think it was like 50 cents a person for 2 movies, and sometimes they would have a triple showing. They wouldn't even charge anymore.
Oh, I got a couple of stories on that. I had a friend, and we wanted to go see Jaws, back in the day. We didn't have enough money. But we both worked at McDonald's. I had so much McDonald's trash in the back of my Impala. It was a 62 Impala, right? I just hid him underneath the trash in
Oh,
the
wow.
back. Right, so we're going through and we're buying the tickets, and I hear this sound. I say, "Oh God, hurry!" So I'm sorry, Paul. I had to tell that story.
I think the statute of limitations is probably up by now.
Yeah, you think so? Okay. Then there was one. I was on a double date, and 2 extra gals came along. We didn't have the money for them, so they went into the trunk, right? And I said, everybody brings a spare. Right?
Yeah, I love double dates because if the first one doesn't work out, then you gotta stand by.
It was a fun night. It was a fun night. That was in that 62 Impala again.
I was hoping it wasn't a Volkswagen.
No, it was a big 62.
Back when
4-door.
cars were large. And
Imagine being
steel.
shoved in the back of a Volkswagen though. Yeah, that'd be horrible.
That's a very uncomfortable place.
Yeah, I'd pay my 50 cents or whatever per person.
So what about cars that you used to have that you wish you still had?
My first car, my dad bought it for me, and I still regret very much getting rid of it. It was a '69 Chevy Nova, cherry red.
You should have hung on to
Yeah,
that.
cherry
You're a
red,
nice
hardtop. My uncle
That's
Rick
not supposed to go
Dowden.
anywhere. That's supposed
My
to
uncle
stay.
Rick Dowden. I still gotta call you out, you son of a bitch. You told me you were gonna save me that car when I moved to California, and he was gonna sell it back to me. I moved back 6 months later. I come back, and he sold the car. So, no, I still love him, but I'll never forgive you.
Okay, Ryan, what's your story?
Well, I don't have one that I want back because I've really only ever owned actually one car. But my first car was an '85 gunmetal gray Camaro.
Ooh, come here.
It was a 18th birthday gift because I didn't get my license. I was 18 because I wasn't gonna pay 300 and something bucks for driving lessons, which were mandatory at the time, and
Ooh.
I had other shit to do, so I was like, I don't need to drive. I'll take buses, I'll walk, I'll do whatever. And didn't start. I had to replace the alternator, fuel pump, oil pump. None of the gauges worked except for the fuel gauge. Never knew how fast I was going. Would routinely stall out, did this to me twice, stall out on railroad tracks as the klaxon signs are coming down. And I'm just like, start, I will leave you, car, start.
It's like the scene in Final Destination. All of a sudden, the doors lock.
Pretty much. It's like, I believe the car tried to. It was almost like a Christine, like little sister thing. I think it tried to kill me twice.
Oh, heavenly day.
And I think the total of all he paid for that car was like $280 bucks. And we spent, I think we spent about 800 trying to get it to run.
Heavenly
And
day.
I understand he wanted it to be a project car we'd work on together, but I don't want it. I was 18. I didn't want that. I just wanted a car that I could put keys in and go. And
Yeah.
the first thing I said when the car wouldn't start was like, you know what I think it is? Fuel pump. He said, no, it's not the fuel pump. It's the oil thing. It's this. It's the other thing. 3 months later, oh hey, I found what was wrong with the car.
It's the
Oh,
fuel
Dad,
pump.
what is it? Fuel pump. Well,
Uh,
how much money would I have saved you if we'd have just done that first off? Well, it's a pain in the ass to do. It's like, well, we could have had it done by now.
So the object of today's show is to piss off all 60 people that actually watch this. So we're just gonna call out the people that are closest to us.
Okay,
Oh,
I got
my
it. Okay,
family doesn't watch me on this. I tell them not to. I hate how my voice sounds to me when I hear it. So when I was watching the first one we did, I was like, oh God, no.
Nobody likes their own voice. I think
cringed
you got a
away.
great radio voice. You know?
I've been told this. I've been wanting to get into voice work for forever. But when I listen to myself back on a tape recorder or something, I'm like, God, I sound like nasal and whiny. What the
I
hell?
hate my voice when recording too.
Just practice, some of the, voiceover stuff, like, the white zone is for loading and unloading only.
No, I've done that many times.
Oh, I gotta tell you about my second car,
Okay.
340, it was a 70 Duster with a 340 short block. Dual quads, tunnel ram, radial TAs on Traeger mags all the way around.
That's a lot of car talk. I
That
don't
was
know.
a great car, big Mopar air scoop.
I know Mopar.
And so you had dual exhaust, Mr. Gasket racing clutch, and it was blue with a black hood and black striping, and I was one of the premier cruisers of West Seattle back in the '70s with that car. Everybody, they don't know me, but they know that car.
I actually am in possession of one of the '70s premier Seattle cruising cars of its time. That was actually used in Seattle in the '70s for cruising Golden Gardens all around the time. My cousin had a '74 black Corvette Stingray that he could no longer afford to keep because he had it parked on the street and a cop kept ticketing the car, basically in a guise to get him to sell him the car. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of my Corvette. I just don't have the money anymore, and this cop's trying to buy it. I was like, cop's trying to buy it? Hell no. I'll buy it right now.
People think cops are crooked now. You should talk to people that are older than you and find some stories about things that cops used to do. You'll feel pretty lucky that we have video cameras now.
They were more crooked, but they were also more forgiving back in the day, because I've had many a story of my dad who would have had 50 DUIs if not for old-timey cops who are just like, oh, how you doing there? Yeah, just you pull over to the side, get some sleep, and then get yourself home. Okay, just don't drive anymore tonight, go to sleep, and we'll be fine. Now?
Definitely DUIs
Boom,
are definitely
you're in the back of
a
the
lot
car, you
more
got
strict
20
now,
grand fine, license suspended.
Yeah.
Many times. I was at a birthday party, no, it was Easter. It was Easter with my dad's side of the family, and they were talking about all the stuff they got away with when they were younger. I'm like, okay, I'd been in jail for 5 years for that. I'd have been in youth detention for that. I'd have been in jail for 10 years for that shit.
Yeah.
And you guys got away with murder now. I crosswalk wrong, and it's like there's somebody pulling up on a Segway going, ticket,
He's just doing community service right now. What do you got, 30 hours you have to do podcasts with me for jaywalking?
Yeah,
That's what he
then
has.
I gotta go pick up litter, and I gotta
We turn the
protest
heat up
rest
in here.
somewhere. Yeah, I just have to sit and stay.
So what are we all gonna do when we don't have our jobs to complain about, though? I mean, like I said, things are changing. We got 37.3% of the people that aren't working right now. More and more jobs being, delegated to robots right now. Dragon Speech is getting rid of secretaries and typists. Self-checkout is definitely getting rid of people in my industry.
There's still that one lady that always has to help somebody who's retarded, and you're like, no, you have to scan the barcode, not
How
the label.
dare you call them retarded?
I've been helped. I've been helped with those things before too. Mainly when I'm buying beer or something, and they have to check card me. Some machines you can get past it. Some they actually have to go and they check it.
Yeah, there's
Also,
some things.
you can get past. Here's a little tip: when stores stop selling alcohol at 2 in the morning, the self-checkout won't stop.
Really?
It's true.
That's interesting.
So you can get past that little law, so you don't have to wait till 6.
Stick it in a bag of oranges or whatever.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Also, if people that go to some of them that have the bulk foods, where you write the little codes on there.
Yeah.
Pine nuts are about $20 a pound, but sunflower seeds are about $1.50. So you just write a couple accidental codes on there. If anybody ever calls you, I'm so sorry. They're saving enough money on not having a person there.
Give away these secrets. No.
Now they're going to catch on, and they're going to start figuring some of these things out.
Well, we're going to get a bigger audience, that's for sure. People keep getting clues like this on what to do. Shortcuts learn from the old masters, right?
Hacks to take your money back. And
I have a few good life hacks that I choose not to share right now because they still work, and if I share them with the audience, I have a feeling they'll put countermeasures in place but let's say I've gotten a lot of free food using some of these hacks.
Knowledge is power.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
read, kids, and listen to podcasts. And
For
watch
God's
my
sakes,
videos.
read and put your phones down. I'm tired of almost hitting you.
Yeah, just don't watch your podcast while you're driving. Please download the audio version.
Listen to the audio version, and
Yeah.
when you're walking on the street, look up and straight. I'm tired of almost hitting children.
Although you would,
and other people.
Yes. Although you wouldn't miss Ryan, and he is a damn sexy guy. Are you available, Ryan?
I am indeed.
You are indeed. Okay. Yeah, Ryan, he's a good-looking guy. So women out there watching this, and just put your number down there in the comments. Only Ryan will call you. Upload a photo or something, tasteful.
Yeah, anyone who would love to start a fan page, just please go ahead. I just request no glitter.
No glitter?
No glitter.
Well,
you can have a trailing cursor, but no glitter.
That's why you always have to buy your wife the perfume that has the glitter in it already.
Right.
And then when she finds glitter on you from the strip club, and be like, "That's your glitter, silly."
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know.
You're gonna get a bunch of videos
I-
of women working the pole,
I used to come home covered in body glitter, and I never made any excuse for it. It's like, yup, you know exactly where I've been, and you also know I don't have $1 left on me.
There was a guy, as a funny story, that not so funny for the guy it happened to, but back in the days of Enron, you can look this up, the president. All those guys, they partook in a lot of strip clubs, and the CEO or the president was telling everybody that he used to douse himself with gasoline before he went home, and he said that way that I wouldn't smell like strippers, I would smell like gasoline. He would spill a little on himself. One of the guys thought it was funny to make a joke out of it and say, "Well, doesn't your wife think that you're, getting it on with the gas station attendant?" Sent that guy to Alaska, northern Alaska, for the rest of his career. Probably worse than firing him for a lot of people.
Well, it was probably only for about 6 months, Is
Yeah.
Enron around anymore? Enron job. Not around anymore.
Hey, there we go.
And the circle comes back.
Yeah. And what would we all do if we didn't have jobs to go to? Mark Zuckerberg, it was just a few days ago, was talking about universal basic income.
I was about to ask, would I be like financially secure, like I didn't need to work? Or would I
I
be
think
like...
they're just going to give you enough money to pay for a crappy place and a little bit of food, kind of like on Indian reservations.
So it's like having food stamps and welfare, but...
Well, basically it's welfare.
It's actually what it is, yeah.
It's
You
welfare.
don't lose all your pride, though, because everybody's getting it.
It's welfare. That's true. Standardizing. It's like wearing a school uniform. Okay, and there's no competition on fashionistas, right? Because everybody's wearing the same. I mean, what you're looking for is is a candy bar smudge or something like that. But
Kids start putting stickers on themselves.
yeah, but
College kids glitter. I don't know, but
anywho, but I think it's actually welfare. Welfare is actually not welfare for the people. It's welfare for the landlords. Okay. And the grocery stores and healthcare, that you got to pay for and stuff like that. So it's essentially if you're going to give somebody something, give them housing, give them a house with rent free.
I am definitely for housing for everyone.
That's
Housing and food for everyone.
Yeah, housing, healthcare, and like I say, a minimum of living money for food and whatnot like that. If you're going to have a bottom level, you cannot sink lower than. Okay, cheap affordable housing unit. Since I've designed affordable housing units, which are illegal to build in this country because of the building codes and zoning regulations and stuff like that, you cannot have affordable housing or a self-sufficient community because you run afoul of the devil in the details.
I remember, I think we touched on this on that first episode.
Yeah, we did. It's a pet peeve of mine because I was in it. I went to the growth management meetings down in Pierce County. I found out that master plan developments were yes, but that's only what they're selling is something that feels like a community, but it's actually a couple $100,000 cracker box, close to somebody else's cracker box. right? You know, it feels like community, but it's not really community. Real community is like a tribe that's self-sufficient, you know, where everybody's included. It's like the Amish, okay? Amish are like that, but
Yeah, the
they're
Amish are kind of
grandfathered in.
locked in. Yeah, exactly. They're kind of grandfathered in. That's the
grandfathered
word
in,
I was looking
but-
I
for.
don't trust the Amish.
But
Yeah, I don't trust them either. And they don't like us.
And
They'll
they're
buy from you, but they don't like you.
And they're draft dodgers.
well, the whole thing is that you don't have to live like that. We should actually have themed communities. If you want to live in a medieval, you know, setting, or an old west setting, or a futuristic setting, Star Trek or something like that,
That's a really good idea.
you should be able to
I
go
like
to
that.
that community with your home housing unit and live that lifestyle.
Kind of like we shouldn't put everybody in the same high schools when everybody wants to do something else for a living. Should probably move, in my opinion, more towards a European model as far as that's concerned. And some schools are starting to move towards that.
Yeah, I would have loved to go to one of those performing arts high schools as opposed to Stanwood High School, which is go farmers.
Yeah, if you don't want to farm, yeah, that was the same thing. Huge farming in Walla Walla, the FFA area. I mean, everybody was raising goats and cows, and you know, I'm in the back blowing up dry ice bombs.
Okay, I'm getting excited because I went to 8 different high schools, so I know that.
That doesn't sound very
You
exciting.
got kicked out of 8 different high schools.
My parents were kind of gypsies, right? No,
Okay.
no, there's 3 grade schools, 2 junior highs, 8 high schools, and 1 community college. That's how many educational places I went to. And I saw the differences in the quality of the lunches, differences in the quality of the teachers, and how much you learned and whatnot. You know, there were schools I went to that I was behind, and then when I left there, I went to another high school, and I was so far ahead of everybody else, it was silly. They would try to make me the teaching assistant. I go, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, but so there's a vast difference in education, and
There's a vast difference in the knowledge, really, too,
Yeah.
that you get from each place.
and
Oh, definitely.
definitely, I highly recommend John Taylor Gatto's book, The Underground History of American Education, Underground History of American Education, because it shows how the corporations essentially had a really great say in how our school system developed. And what they want is employees.
Drones.
Oh, of course. Why do you think they keep coming out with the same freaking textbook every 2 years? It's got the same crap in it, but they're going to make everyone buy it again. And they're all buddies. That whole thing is a big cult system.
Yeah, and
I miss the big map that had all the Soviet Union, that one big red chunk. It was just such a simpler time.
That was just like this, almost kind of like an unattainable target. Like, how are we going to conquer that?
And also, all the stuff over there, all the stuff we're dealing with now, that was their problem. That was all in their backyard. You deal with all the crazy durka. We're all over here. We don't have any of that. You have fun with that. And then they split it off into satellite states, and then it became our problem again.
Very much so. We like to make a lot of things our problem. There's a lot of money in having problems.
America tends to think it's the world's police force. We have to step in all the time and separate the disputing couple and be like, oh, hey, now settle down, Syria, settle down, Russia. What's going on here? Hold on, you'll get your chance to talk.
well, it's more involved than that because a lot of it focuses on oil, focuses on
Resources, like
where the drugs are coming from.
Why the hell are we still in oil? This is so freaking stupid. Why am I talking about
It's still
cars running on oil in 2017? It's freaking retarded. I'm sorry, it should all be electric.
Here's where we tie in cars and housing, okay? Because if you live where you work, you don't need a car. You walk to work. If you're school, you can walk to school, walk to your.
You know how
grocery
depressing it is, though, to be able to see your work out of your window? I've lived that close to work.
store. Unless you
You'd
love
never get
your
away
job.
from it.
If you love your job, then it's a whole.
What about the people that telecommute? You know, they have the whole online.
That's
thing
right.
where I'm at the office. Go away.
That doesn't work for me. I can't get motivated at home. And then I got the distractions, especially if my kids are there, because I thought that'd be the greatest thing. And I try to do work at home. I'll go to the library to edit videos or something sometimes.
Yeah, but at home,
Huge
I
distraction.
don't have to wear pants at home.
That is a big plus, yeah.
And I can smoke when I choose to. I can have a drink if I want to. I can actually eat a decent lunch as opposed to going down to the gas station getting a corn dog and be like, that's healthy.
Everybody out there is going, America. Okay, and I'm with you.
After this, I will be
I
hosting a
want that for
monster
you.
truck rally and a Make America Great Again fundraiser, I guess.
Yeah, we should go down to this car show. We can check out some of those cars we used to
I'm
drive
sure
around.
many of
There you
those
go.
people are Trump supporters. I guarantee it. as long as you keep the oil flowing, so I can keep tuning up my Mopard 65 Impala, then that's what.
Yeah, we should have flying cars long before this.
They did make flying cars, they just never quite took off.
How are you going to control that though? When a car runs out of gas or some idiot doesn't change a part and you got cars flying from the sky?
There is an aero car. They did it in the 60s. They came up with the aero car.
Yeah.
You attach like the back thing, and then there's a propeller on the front. You'd clip on wings, and you'd go, boom, and then you're supposed to bund it all away, and then you'd go. They also had the aqua car too.
Yeah, the amphibious vehicle. Yeah.
The aqua.
Just wouldn't take off.
Lyndon Johnson had an aqua car, and he used to love taking people down to his ranch down in not Crawford, Texas, but the Johnson family ranch in Texas. Yeah. And he'd be driving him around. I think he had like an ambassador from some foreign country. He was like, you're driving around his ranch, showing him all of his stuff, and be like, "You want to see something cool?" And he would just jackknife right into a lake. Just gun it, and the guy next to him would be like shitting his pants. He'd be like, "Hey, it's an aqua car," and he'd go,
That would be fun to watch.
Okay, here's the problem with.
And his evil lair was underwater. If nobody knows that.
When I was in the Air Force,
I would like him.
When I was in the Air Force for 2 years, my first 2 years was at Fort Hood, Texas. I was Army support down for the 1st Cavalry Division.
Ah, yes.
And we had these things called Gamma Goats, which were amphibious vehicles, 6 wheels, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so you could take this thing and you could run it right into these big ponds and stuff like that, you know. And one day I had a friend of mine, Tom, and I decided I'd just run right through this pond, right? And then Tom turns to me, he goes, "You know, Garrett, there's no belly plugs in this thing, right?"
Oh.
I didn't check that, right? So the vehicle's starting to sink, right? You know, the pumps are throwing out the water like crazy, right? But we're getting lower and lower, and I turn it around and head back. And he says to me, "You know, this pond's full of water moccasins, right?" so I just pedal to the metal. We barely make it out, right? You know, that's my adventure with amphibious vehicles. I do still enjoy it.
That would be
I highly
cool.
recommend. But a flying car we should have had a long time ago. I think we have the free energy and technology hidden somewhere that can allow
Tesla.
Yeah.
Remember, back in the day, Tesla was building these giant transmitters that were supposed to transmit electricity wirelessly throughout, these big, Tesla coil-looking things that they were giant. And
so guess who put the kibosh on?
Yeah, I gotta wonder how many
the
death
government,
threats
GE, Westinghouse, all those people.
Yeah.
When Tesla died, penniless, by the way, there was like this massive just seizure of all of his everything.
Yeah, they took the black box, which there was a guy named here in Seattle named Scott McKee who was working on recreating the black box, and he actually got it over Unity. Okay, which is really cool. But he was I don't really want to go into too much detail on that because it's a strange story. But I actually met him, and the box is real. Okay, it does work. There's a couple of quid pro quos, but it's definitely technology that I knew could work. But the government and the power companies, they're charging. They're making money.
How can you charge people for free electricity?
Yeah, if you
how do you monitor how much they've sucked in and then charge per gigawatt or whatnot?
Free energy immediately transforms everything. You talk about people out of work now. You throw out all the people from the power companies, right? You know, and then that's a major hit to the industry. And
we're still burning coal for energy, for goodness sakes.
Oh Jesus, isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Clean coal though, mind you, clean coal. They wash it. They literally just wash it. I think with some water.
We should just burn all that styrofoam from the 70s and 80s.
I think it's burning on its own in the landfill.
Well, yeah, that in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Probably. We threw some garbage into space, and who knows
There's a tire
else.
fire somewhere in America that's still burning. It's been burning since the 70s.
Oh man, nothing stinks like a burning tire. That is
one
of that's a unique smell.
That is an odd blend of smells.
Anyway, there's plenty of ways to get energy and to basically reduce your need for energy. If you have an exercise machine, and every time you do a rep, you're just putting more juice into a battery and storing it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in the middle of the night when the heat, when electricity starts to die down, it's getting cold, you just get on the treadmill and run a little bit more.
And then we
Do
solve the
something
obesity
better.
rate at the same time.
Here's an idea. I've just figured out a way to solve the homeless problem. We provide like a big auditorium with bunks and racks and food, and they just spend several hours a day on this big giant hamster wheel that's connected to an alternator, and just but we have this human battery farm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Matrix, but more humane.
Sounds like
Huh?
the old movie Metropolis a little bit.
Just a little bit, but it still would work,
Yeah.
And
definitely.
they'd feel like they had a job, and they'd
Yeah.
be providing electricity, and they'd have food. and
Actually, you'd see
no one's stealing their shoes.
child labor return because kids have
I
the
have
most
no
energy.
problem with that because kids today have it way too easy.
We have
Way too
37% of people not doing anything right now. I think we probably have enough people to get that covered.
Yeah, that's true.
But
And not to mention the illegal immigrants that are here still looking for work. And
Yeah, there you go.
We've got tons, millions and millions.
undocumented.
Bad dudes.
This is what
Bad
we know.
dudes that stock our groceries and pick our fruit and
Do all the stuff we
Yeah.
don't want to do.
and then we villainize them and pay them $2.50 an hour because America is great.
Well, see,
we give them like
corporations
half a
lure
dollar,
these
so
people across the
yeah,
border.
that.
That's what they did around turn of century when the book The Jungle by Upton Sinclair
Oh, yeah.
came out, pointed out basically, the streets are paved with gold, come over to America, right? And they get over here and then they're fleeced right and left, right? And shoot up, spit out by the system, right?
Well, we've done that with every ethnic minority since the beginning of America. First it was, Chinese, Irish,
Yeah.
everyone else, the indigenous people. That's one thing that I really never, this is going to probably sound really horrible and wrong, but we imported a good deal of our workforce from Africa for various reasons, because God knows I don't want to pick cotton, and back then that was just how you did. But we already had a bunch of Indians here. We never thought, hey, come here, you have no sense of ownership? Well, you're mine now. Isn't that fun? I'm going to take your hat. There we go. Now go do what I say.
Oh, they would have skinned you alive. They'd go down
Well,
fighting.
Well, at
Native
first,
Americans had tribes. They had their own community.
but they were
Yeah.
also fighting each other, though. They never unite. If all of the tribes united as one massive front, there'd be no America. There'd be a big expanse of Native
There was
American.
an attempt. There was attempts to try and do that. I believe Seneca, I think, was one of the ones.
It's possible, yes.
Yeah.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, there was attempts to unify the tribes enough to get an overwhelming force, which they could have done easily. They could have done.
Because we were just barely had a foothold here. We were just hanging on by a fingernail. We couldn't even survive the winter barely.
You know, when white Europeans first showed up, they were just viewed as not just another small tribe.
Okay, them's is very pale, but whatever.
Yeah.
And imagine for a second you have 4 traders that come in and give these Native Americans some guns and teach them how to shoot.
Yeah.
And we got a big problem.
They did a Family Guy on that.
Yeah, they did, and the South Park.
Yeah.
South Park with the.
The casino, yeah.
Yeah. the casino.
No, Family Guy did the one where Brian gives the Indians guns, and it showed flash as forward to modern day. It's just stores that sell denim jackets and turquoise jewelry. And every other store that would open, it was like Starbucks would go to business, said coming soon denim jacket store. And it's wrong, but it's also true.
Walk around chewing coca leaves instead of drinking coffee.
Hey, there you go.
There was actually a Devo video that where basically everybody was being sucked into this cult of denim as they're marching along, right? I forget the name. I should know because they're one of my favorite groups. Devo, B-52s, Talking Heads. Those are the 3 groups.
David Byrne?
Yeah, I like David Byrne and stuff and whatnot. But also the Yardbirds. Anywho, what's the next?
We could all sit around listening to this music and get paid for it, though. I want to touch on universal basic income a little more, though. What about pros to this? What if people had the time to follow their passions and actually started making really good things and raising their children again, having time to have family time, maybe we'll learn how to play guitars. Can we build some better communities possibly out of this? Is that a far-fetched
The
idea?
first thing you got to do is put your toe in the water. So one state should, they should instill this universal basic income, and then we see how it goes. You know, some place in the Midwest.
It'd probably be Utah, honestly. I think they'd be the first one to adopt that.
You don't think it'd be Washington with our $11 an hour minimum wage, or King County $15?
Yeah, the $15 thing, that's very controversial.
Yeah, we do have a communist city council member, I believe now. So
You know, it used to be a nice place, you know, in this area, you know, but in the '80s, basically California was so screwed up, all the liberals decided to move up here, buy up all the property, and now
Yeah, I know,
we
that's what
become another
happened to where I live.
Yeah, so.
It's a bunch
there's
of vacation homes for Microsoft employees and Californians.
Yeah.
Californians.
So, that's why we have such a dyed-in-the-wool liberal government and whatnot, and we can't get away from it. And the homeless problem is just increasing, you know, it's just, it's
could you make it
the
work
stuff you
though?
hear.
Could you make it work? How would this work? The structure of this? I'm guessing, you know, what's being proposed now is give people just enough money. You know, have enough money to have a house. Your utilities are paid for. You have a little bit of money for food. Basically, money to survive. And then, as far as luxury, you're kind of on your own for that. And I don't know if there's a plan as to if you're able to work or how much you're able to work.
I think it has to come in there's variables. If you're gonna give basic income, you have to have basic housing to go with it. I think it has to go hand in hand. Otherwise, their landlords are just gonna jack up the rent and take it all.
Yeah. What I think what really needs to happen is like another renaissance or age of enlightenment of like of high-minded individuals and just, you know, forethought, because this is gonna take a while to figure out. I mean, the ideal way this would work would be like in the way Star Trek did it, where they did away with, there's no money in the Star Trek universe, so everybody's just
Replicators.
replicators, and everybody's just, oh, you want to go be this? You can go be this. You don't have to pay for this because, hey, food is free. Boom, taco. Hey, cool. Nom, 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 nom. And I can go on like
Healthcare, perfect.
Healthcare, exactly. Bzz, and your cancer's gone.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna go get AIDS again. I'll be back in an hour. But,
Yeah, and if nobody has needs, I think we're growing towards an area where this is more plausible, because as much as we want to talk crap about the generation coming up, I think they are more giving than a lot of other people, and I think
Zuckerberg put it out there, maybe he should help finance it.
oh, he's got billions. He's got enough money. Somebody do the math out there. How many people could Mark Zuckerberg support for the rest of his life? He could support a state. There you go. Find you a small state, Zuckerberg, and support the entire state, and then we'll go from that study and we'll decide what we want to
you
do.
could definitely like just buy a third world nation and like run it, on the cheap for like ever.
We have enough land here, though. Couldn't we just put them on ships and bring them here?
Well, they already have infrastructure there. You know, they've already got their houses and they've already got their stuff, and their stuff's all there.
That's just true. That is a more humane way. That's kind of, I think that I kind of have a feeling that's what Louise is becoming. I mean, you go over there and it's changing a little bit now. But I remember 10 years ago when I was looking at living there, you could comfortably live on like $300 or $400 American.
Yeah, like you can go to like Thailand with like $40 and it's like you've got $400 damn near. I believe you can get like a lobster dinner for like $4 or something like that.
And you can get a hooker for $4 too. But
Okay,
Actually, for less than the dinner, I think.
okay, so the main argument against universal basic health care is going to be the term enabling.
Or the takers, if you read Ayn Rand.
It's gonna be basically what's gonna motivate them to get a job, what's gonna motivate them to do anything in society except stay home, drink beer, do drugs, and, you know, and.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
watch the internet.
if I didn't have to work, I wouldn't. I would just do what I wanted to do and
Yeah.
not do anything else.
Yeah, and, there used to be a talk about paying people to stay home,
Oh, cool.
so that they wouldn't be on the roads, there wouldn't be traffic jams.
Oh, no, oh, that's the telecommuting. You get
Yeah.
paid to.
Paid to stay home,
Yeah.
and, but I don't know whatever happened to that discussion, it sort of disappeared.
Probably the light rail and the channel system and all that made it go away.
Well, see, the thing is the richness and fullness of life is like right here. It's the people you know, people who are in your life. People are the richness and fullness. Okay, but when you spend your life, how many hours, days, months of your life go into sitting in a traffic jam? you know, and or spent at work, you know.
Yeah, set in a meaningless job that you could care
Yeah.
less about.
Exactly, because your community is basically not where you live anymore, it's where you work, okay? And those, and the corporation gets all the benefits of everybody working together as a community, but none of the responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, that's all outsourced.
You ever look on one of
Insurance
those?
company.
Yeah, you ever look on one of those sites of deepest regrets? I did happen to look at a few of them. It's people from their deathbeds that were writing their deepest regrets, and one of the biggest reoccurring theme on here was spending more time with my family and spending less time at work, and regretting moving away from family for work.
Exactly.
Quentin Rampage Jackson, if nobody knows who he is, he's a huge UFC guy. He's made a lot of money. And they were talking to him in an interview the other day. He said if he could go back to the time that he was 16, 17 years old, as popular and rich as he is, he would have never started MMA because he had to leave his family and they were in such a tight-knit community. He said that he regrets, forget all the fame and not being able to go out and not being recognized and stuff. He said he regretted not growing up with the family, and that's got to be a big consideration to people trying to move up in the
That's
corporate
exactly
world.
it, you know, people put their security into money as opposed to their security into their community, because there's no community there, essentially, you don't even know your neighbors, right? Who's gonna take that bullet for you when the government shows up with a bogus, warrant to try and haul you away? Who's gonna stand there and say, I'm sorry, but that's not happening, right, Okay, and, here's my gun to prove it, right, that's not gonna happen,
We
okay?
don't have neighbors like that anymore.
You don't have neighbors like that anymore, okay? And
I honestly cannot name more than like one of my neighbors.
Exactly, and.
I know all 4 of my neighbors that are within rock throwing distance, but I don't live around a lot of people.
So when you were in high school, you had a clique, you had a group, you had a little gang. I had one, and I actually had a '70s gang. We had a Jackie. Okay, her name was Renata, right? Anyway, just like Jackie, I was kind of like the Eric Foreman of the group, right? But I hated to see that group break up. But it was like all of a sudden, a couple of members joined the service and whatnot, and one guy got a job with Boeing, and you never saw him anymore. And so I joined the service. And then my friends ended up taking off early out of the military for one reason or another. I stayed the full 4 years and whatnot, went the distance. But when I got back, the community was gone. Everybody was so split up, they were gone. My community had disappeared into the ether, except for just a couple close friends that I hung around with and whatnot. But everybody knows that when those high school years, you form those bonds. Okay. And see my theory is that when you're young, you bond to your parents. When you get into your troubled teenage years, you're basically disengaging from your parents and you're bonding to what looks like the community.
You're raised by your peers, like they say.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And so that's something that's genetically into us, because for thousands of years, that's how you survived. If you didn't bond with the community kicked your butt out, and then you died by yourself out in the woods, right? So we're genetically geared to bond in the teenage years and form a community, which is exactly what the government does not want. Okay, it wants to break that up. This is also why we have so many gangs with so many young punks in gangs. It's that need for community. They need to identify on a local level with, and it could be a church group, it could be a sports group, or it could be a nerd, chess club, who knows what it is, but you're gonna bond around that time, and that's going to kind of tell the tale on a big chunk of your life, where you're going and whatnot. But as an adult, we're pulled by the system in so many different directions. You cannot sustain community, and the building codes and zoning regulations are basically disallowing the option. We can have what we have today, but we just need the option of having an Amish type community or a themed community, or
And that's kind of online now, right? We go online, people go on there, they join groups, they find a bunch of like-minded people. You all complain about the same things.
There's a
Everybody agrees. these people are on the Bloods, these people are on the Crips, the Republicans and Democrats. That's I call them now, but all these people agree with me. 186 people, yeah, because you went to the group that says "Make America Great Again." Of course, they all love Donald Trump. They're all like you, but you don't learn anything from them.
There's a group in Seattle that everybody's mermaids. Okay, there's a mermaid community in
That's
Seattle.
wacky.
Okay, and in Oregon they have this fuzzy community.
Furry community, I think.
What's that?
I think furry is the
Furry.
term.
Yeah, furry.
I thought that was just like women that didn't shave down there.
I saw an article where they're trying to get a law passed so that furries can basically hump in the park just like regular animals and defecate and everything else. Just they want animal rights for in the park. Isn't that weird? Maybe that's fake news. It's got to be fake news.
I don't know.
I don't believe we sunk that low.
It wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a little truth to it.
It's a fetish lifestyle. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
We're getting so ridiculous. Canada they have 53 different sexual orientations that people can identify with. They're in the process of passing a law that you have to call these people by these different names, Z and Zer and all kinds of different nonsense, and you can actually be imprisoned for not using these surnames. There's a professor, look up Jordan Peterson online in Toronto, Canada, who is vehemently fighting, and I'm not saying that Democrats and liberals are bad, but just the ultra liberals that are taking this just beyond the realm of ridiculousness. They don't have free speech in Canada like we do. Most people probably don't realize
everybody hearing this podcast in Canada, okay, needs to stop what they're doing and try and fix this situation, okay? Because we don't want any bleed over.
Yeah, sorry, Canada.
Yeah, you got to deal with that.
I gotta say they are nicer than us for the most part.
They're more polite. They still don't like things. They're just more polite about it.
Yeah.
So I could go to
There's things you
Canada
like.
and identify as a moose, and it would be illegal to not allow me to do that.
I don't know about animals. I don't know if it goes that far. I didn't look at all 53 different surnames, but if there's not, there's probably a community out there fighting for it, like the mooses for Canada. Or
I'm all for freedom. If you want to live in a moose community dressed as Mr. Moose, okay, that's fine. Okay, if you want to do that and then that's attractive to some people, that's fine. Okay, but on the flip side, if you just want to have, a community, like I don't know, myself, I would pick a futuristic community. That's what I would. Something based on.
Would you have the chip in your brain like Elon Musk was talking about now?
No, the Star Wars guy with the thing on
Cyborg.
his head that, yeah, the part cyborg type thing, that would be very, very cool. But, there's the Old West, a lot of people might say, I'm tired of the future, I wanna go back in time to the Old West, right? So you go live in an Old West style, and your job is, tending bar at the saloon, or playing the piano, or, maybe.
Clapped out whore.
Yes, yeah. There's all sorts of ways you can go. But medieval knights, Roman, I'd love to try the Roman vomitarium. Yeah, that had to be weird. That had to be one of the weirdest things.
Yeah, actually, I've always wanted to open up a restaurant for bulimics called the Gilded Feather.
Okay, I'm going to let you carry that one.
Did they just have like a whole latrine where all the guys stand up? The big huge urinals where all the guys stand and pee at the same time.
Pretty much they're
Everybody can
just big
vomit.
receptacles in the middle of the table, and it's kind of like rimmed with the tables, and then the inside just sucks right down.
I would look into your local food department guidelines on that. I'm not quite sure that's going to pass.
No, you make it as a private club.
Actually, this brings up a job that disappeared. It was called
Vomit cleaner?
night soil remover.
They would clean up after the horses and stuff.
And at night, all the human waste from the privy would be shoveled out and then put onto a wagon, and they would turn it into fertilizer and stuff like that. With sewers and sanitation.
I wonder what the average life
went away.
expectancy was for that person.
It was incredibly unhealthy. That's one thing that
I'm
it's
sure.
incredibly unhealthy.
What I'm
Not a
sure
job you want.
is another job that's gone by the wayside is since we're going to dirty things, this is another kind of dirty, I would say
The necessary one.
adult video booth attendant. The gentleman who has to clean up after, whomever uses the booth.
That isn't, that's
Yeah, I
gone?
was
That's
kind of
gone?
just thinking about that. Yeah.
'Cause
I bet there's still one in San Francisco.
there's probably a couple there. They keep it for kitsch value though. I'm sure.
Yeah, you stick a
It's
quarter
funny.
in and put your head in, look at the little picture.
Then the guy comes in with the big squeegee on a stick and
Oh, what a
bleach.
horrible job. There's got to be a high suicide rate in that
What about
job.
the squeegee guy at the corner? Do they still have those?
I've seen guys trying to wipe my windshields and I'm like, no, thank you. Go away.
I think the homeless begging thing is starting to get more sophisticated. I
Yeah,
think.
some of them they're getting props. Like I saw one guy, he had like a gas can. I was like, I just need gas.
Oh, I've seen a ton of them with the gas can, but they need to learn to play guitar. If you can entertain me, I will give you $2. That's
Yeah.
my rule.
Yeah,
If
if
you-
you're
if-
trying.
Yeah,
Definitely.
if you're trying, I'll give you $1. If you're decently talented and entertain me, I'll give you $2.
If you have a dog, I'll give you money. Because I'm like, at least the dog's probably gonna get some of whatever you end up.
The dog is.
I'm just gonna bring him two
Very
cans of
important.
dog food, and if he gets hungry enough, he can eat one.
There you go. Hey, I've tried dog food. It's not that terrible.
It's.
It's meat. It's
There
gelatinous.
there used to be a lot of old people that had a taste for it, from what I understand.
Well, it's because it's soft.
Yeah. You don't need to put
Reading,
your teeth in to
California.
eat it.
Reading,
They
California.
can
loves
share it with
juicy
the
dog
cat,
food.
That's right, you just go to one section of the grocery store and you're done.
Exactly.
One stop shop. There you go. But actually, old people like to go more towards what they call country kitchen. Those.
Yeah, country buffet and
Yeah.
old Golden Corral.
Yeah, it's cheap and a lot of.
Whatever the Jeff Foxworthy's advertising. He's the spokesman for Golden Corral.
Yes.
Is he? That's
Yeah.
not
That makes
surprising.
perfect
Yes,
sense.
it does. Yes, it does. Him
Yeah.
and Larry the Cable Guy should do it
That's
together.
his main audience. Is like, come on down and get some death on a plate. Bottomless butterballs soaked in gravy.
I'm sorry,
And
I love the
cheese
joints.
bristle.
I'm old. I love the joints there. I love going there every single chance I get. And
There's a
Golden
few
Corral,
healthy alternatives
they've
there.
got a bin full of bacon.
I used to love the Cranberry Tree restaurant when I was a kid. Growing up, it used to be like we'd go to church and then afterwards we get to go to Cranberry Tree, which had that brunch buffet style
Yeah.
thing. Where it's like, oh, there's a big pan, and you have steamer pan sausage and eggs and
Yeah.
bacon and toast and
We used to have a
waffles.
Royal Fork.
Royal Fork was another one. Yeah.
Yeah, what was another one? There was,
I remember the Royal Fork.
There was one in Mount Vernon. There was a Cranberry Tree in Mount Vernon.
Oh, was it Granny's that was around there? Maybe there's a few of them still around.
Elmer's. There was a place down in, I think in Oregon, it was called Elmer's, we used to go to a long time ago. But I did have this one place called the Country Kitchen in Portland, served a 72-ounce steak. If you could eat the whole thing, okay, you got it for free.
Yeah, there used to be a country kitchen on Aurora in Seattle. It was a while ago. This was like the late '90s.
So what's the restaurant you used to go to you wish was still there?
Twin Teepees.
Oh yeah, it burned down. Oh, that was a great place.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What they serve there? What
Just,
was it?
just general fare, but it was a nice. It was like it was two giant twin teepees, and it had like a Native American kind of motif.
Yeah, it was.
It was iconic.
Route
Architecture.
66.
Yeah, it was like one of those type of things. Where,
Yeah, tourista stops and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was in Greenwood, if I'm not
That was,
mistaken.
it was over by Green Lake.
Yeah, Green Lake.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's where it was. And there's a couple other places. I think there's one down in Tacoma that's still there. Tea Kettle or something like that.
Yeah.
The Hat and Boots used to be a similar thing,
Yeah.
but then it's in a little park over there. And,
Yeah. I remember when that used to be where it was. You'd go
Georgetown.
by there and like it was still open actually.
I had a friend who worked at the Hat and Boots back in the 70s. We used to go
Okay.
by and visit. It was an Arco back then.
Okay.
But what about you? What restaurant you?
Chang's Mongolian Grill, and they've been around in Washington until just a few years ago. There was 5 of them, now they're only in Oregon. There was one in Seattle, Renton, Everett. I want to say there was 2 more. But by far the best Mongolian food I've ever had, and they have these little wraps they call mushu wraps. So they're basically egg roll wrappers. They have this great plum sauce. And yeah, that was the best food that I've had, because they would have, they had everything, high quality beef, and then you would come in at nighttime and you you could get the salmon, and I mean, just all the really expensive meat and vegetables, and it was like $10. So it was, I really enjoyed that place, but now I got to go to Oregon, I guess.
My favorite restaurant was in Texas. It was called Mission Taco. It had this number 4 dinner special.
I think those are still there.
I think they are. Yeah. See,
There's some in California.
I just would love for them to come up here.
Oh yeah, there's so many places that I wish would like. I have so many people that I know from California. They're like, oh, you gotta go to Checkers or what do they call it? You see you always see Sonics. Yeah, like, oh, they got like 1,000 sodas and they got a bunch of hot dogs.
There is a Sonic in this area.
There is.
Yeah.
I know they're building one in Marysville. They have the zoning permit.
Maybe it's in Covington. No, Covington has a Carl's Jr. There's a Sonic in Marysville.
There is?
I think.
It's not built yet.
Or Mount Vernon.
No, there's not one in Mount Vernon.
No.
There's a Burger Master in Mount Vernon.
Yeah, Marysville, I
I was
think is
very unimpressed with Burger Master.
supposed to be a Sonic.
Yeah, it's very.
But there is one around here. I know that there is.
Because I'm a big supporter of Dick's, the restaurant as well as the appendage, and
You can get a bag of dicks there for $10
you can
or
eat a
less.
whole bag of dicks, seriously, for reals. I have those people coming from California. Oh yeah, Sonic's is the best. I'm like, have you ever? Why don't you go put a Dick's burger in your mouth and just tell me what's better? Cause they're like $1.50 and you can get 100 of them and they're open till 2 a.m.
There's a place in South Park I just read as far as there's guy comes through and he takes burgers all around the world. The very best burgers are listed, and I think number 4 in the country is Loretta's Northwestern Burger down in South Park.
Huh.
Loretta's, and I'm gotta try it. I gotta go in there. I gotta try it. If it's that good of a burger,
The
Oh,
best.
I love burgers. I'm a huge burger fan.
The best burger I ever had was on a dock on a fishing trip I went on in Canada. And it was just this little shack, burger shack thing. And I ordered a burger and I was like, oh my god, what have they done here? There's like
Did it have Canadian bacon on it?
No, it was just like the meat patty itself was like a combination of like ground beef, I want to say like ham, sausage, and I think like even like pork was in there. It had texture and layers to it that was just like bang. And I can't remember where. I know the place it was at. I can't remember where it was. But if I ever get a chance, I want to go there again and get like 20 of them and
That sounds delicious.
freeze them.
there was a movie on I don't know if it's Netflix or what's the other one? Hulu. Yeah, I think it was on Hulu. The main character, famous actor, who was in Oz the Great and Powerful.
James Franco?
James Franco, yeah. He goes back in time to the 60s, and there's this diner he goes to in today's age, and he eats the burger, and it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's because he's getting the meat from the 60s and bringing it to this day and age.
Before all the hormones.
Yeah.
Organic grass-fed
crossbreeding.
beef is huge right now.
Yeah, so anyway,
Almost everybody in the store
he
wants
makes
to
friends
buy
with the guy who
grass-fed
owns it,
beef.
goes back in time, tries to stop the JFK assassination and everything else. I highly recommend. Gosh, I don't know the name. I watched it.
Just IMDb James Franco #burger.
Or time travel, and you will enjoy it. It's highly enjoyable. Everything that happens there. He ends up not getting the girl, but saving her life. Okay. Oh, I just spoiled it.
So
watch it anyway.
Spoiler
In
alert.
editing,
Watch
there'll be
it
like little
anyway.
subtext that says spoiler warning.
Yeah.
For
I'm
unnamed
sorry about
film.
that. I'm sorry about that. But it's great. Just the part where he's just drooling over that burger, and then you realize, for some reason, because I'm from the 60s, stuff tastes better back then. Everything nowadays has sort of a cardboard.
I just want the milkshake from Pulp Fiction. You guys remember in Pulp Fiction?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
John Travolta. I just want to see what a $5 milkshake tastes like.
Yeah.
And $5 was actually a lot then for a milkshake. I
This
don't know if you can buy
was
one
like
for $5 now.
1993, so
Yeah.
$5 was like $15 now.
Yeah, so that had to have been a pretty damn good milkshake, I hope.
So I'm hoping that 8-tracks come back and drive-in movies come back. Okay.
I want universal basic income just for long enough to learn how to play guitar. Just give me enough time to learn to play guitar. That's
Get
all.
your new career going.
Yeah.
What genre of music, by the way?
I would play more like folk, like Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
You know, Night Watchman. If anybody's seen Tom Morello's new band, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Ryan Harvey. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard
you,
the Night
Ryan?
Watchman in a while.
I don't think he's done. I don't know if he's done anything new in a while, but I know he does do some
Wasn't it the
pop-in tours.
Don't they do that? That's when I reach for my revolver song, or is that someone else?
I think that's somebody
The
else.
Night
I
Watchman.
think.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
I actually am working on a song about Texas.
There's been a couple already.
I mean, this is the ultimate Texas song because it mentions most of the cities in Texas.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you a taste of it. Okay,
Oh,
you got
please.
Houston, Dallas, Austin, Arlington, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Beaumont, Mesquite, Poteet, Killeen, and Coppersville, Waco, Abilene, Brownsville, Huntsville, Garland, Pearland, Midland, Sugarland, Rio, Bravo, Shady Hollow, Irving, and El Paso. That's just one stanza.
This is the geographical study segment of the podcast.
There you go. There you go.
You can buy that on 8-track starting next month. We'll put a link into it in another
Yeah,
video.
there's all sorts of producing that has to go into it.
Could you still make an 8-track? I don't know.
You can. Kate's 8-track Shack in Texas, they put out the one of the last Cheap Trick albums called The Latest on vinyl and 8-track.
I have that on CD.
You can get on CD too, but to get